So I'm pragmatic enough and I am intelligent enough to know that people grow, people change. I get that. But, what I don't like is living an unauthentic life, and meeting unauthentic people. Fake people piss me off. Liars piss me off even worse. I saw a meme or a saying, maybe it was like, I don't mind a burglar as much as I mind a liar. A burglar wants my money. A liar wants my soul, I have been very consistent. I've strived to live an authentic life. I grew up around Mormons. I find Mormons to be very unauthentic in their relationships, in their lifestyles, their true heart of hearts is different than what they present to the outside world. It was very obvious in members of my family and members of my community, just people I got to know. It just felt very unauthentic. And so I've always insisted on being very authentic. I have sacrificed to be very authentic. When someone's like, you got to bend the knee to this or bend the knee to that, and I don't agree, I just don't agree. Like these pronoun things. I've been threatened. Oh, if you don't use pronouns, if you don't change the way you think about gender, whatever, then we're not going to talk to you anymore. I've gotten the cancellation notice, in this cancel culture. People that I love and care about. If you don't do this, then this, ultimatums and stuff. You've got to believe differently or else. Well, look at that sunset. Isn't that gorgeous? I love Utah. And I just don't agree. I let people be who they are. Like I raised my kids. I'll show you. When I first met their mother, I was all in with Christ, Before I met her, I had this tattoo that says forgiven. And I had been a Christian for about 5 years to that point. When I was 17, I got this tattoo that says SPEAR, Skins and Punks Everywhere Against Racism. A movement, a notion that I created. It's not something I adopted or somebody else started and then I, claimed. That was mine, always, ever since I was 15 years old. My cousin was dating a skinhead who had a swastika tattooed on him. I learned about his ideology. I quickly rejected it. And I formed a group called Skins and Punks Everywhere Against Racism, or SPEAR. But this is still me, who I am today. This forgiven tattoo, right? That's my beliefs, my core beliefs. I have adopted a relationship with Christ. Christ adopted me. I found faith when I was 19, and it was a dramatic change for me, very dramatic. And it shifted my life very drastically, to maybe even one more encumbered, but one more fulfilled. And I found a greater purpose. And it wasn't about rewards after, life. It wasn't, rewards in heaven. It wasn't about a pat on the back. I was inspired by this man, Jesus, who gave his life for humanity, and the stories behind it, but his lessons. I read the Bible multiple times before I gave my life to Christ. And so I was very convinced there was no, unanswered questions for me. Like when I finally found Christ, I was like, yep, this is what I was praying about. This is what I was looking for. This is what I've been reading for so long, many hundreds, if not thousands of books. I've learned about paganism. I learned about Wicca. I've learned about Druidism, all that stuff. The Bhagavad Gita I read once before I found a relationship with Christ. I did a lot of searching, a lot of praying, a lot of soul searching, a lot of being tested. And then I found Christ and gave my life to Christ. I was still a teenager. And I still believe. He is my rabbi, my teacher, somebody that I learned from. Whether he's divine or not, I'm not sure. There's, some indications that's a possibility. It's very possible he's just a man with a lot of love for humanity and a lot of wisdom. And so I'm a pupil. I have been, and I always probably will be a pupil of Christ. I've expanded my knowledge. I now am more into the Gnostic writings, the Gnostic Bible that was found in Nag Hammadi in Egypt in a cave in 1946. So I started off with the Roman teachings. I reject that now. I think that's all been corrupted But the Nag Hammadi writings, the Gnostic writings, fill in the gaps that I was looking for. There's only a few Gospels, 4 Gospels in King James and the Nicene Creed and the Council of Nicaea. But in the Gnostic writings, you've got the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Judas, and a whole bunch of other Jesus's writings, and just a lot more comprehensive view of things. So my knowledge has expanded, and I feel like I align more with the Coptic view of Christ, the Egyptian Christian view, the more rabbinic view of Christ, from a Jewish perspective. So I've expanded that view a bit. Not that I've given it up, just because it's changed or it's expanded, it's grown. It doesn't mean that I'm different. It just means that I've gotten more. And I'm happy with it. And I'm still happy with my skinhead traditions, dating back to like age 14, 15. And now, because of AI and, specialized software, auto-tune and a lot of other things I'm using, I am now making skinhead reggae on my own. That is a new addition in my portfolio, producing a lot of music. And my new album will be coming out on the 22nd of October. It's called Hidden Scrolls Rebel Truth, I believe. Hidden Scrolls Rebel Truth is what I settled on. Anyway, yeah, so we are releasing that at the end of this month, on the 22nd. But when I meet unauthentic people, or when I find myself being unauthentic, telling white lies, or presenting things, a little bit more, extra than it is, or something, and I do that from time to time, I cringe, I catch myself, and I'm like, oof. Can't. That's just awful. I can't present myself to one person as one way, like, hey, I'm a Christian, hey, how are you? And then present myself to another person like, yeah, hey, I'm a progressive liberal, and I, whatever, like, I can't do that. I did have more progressive liberal beliefs. I supported Nader for 12 years, Ralph Nader. That ended when I realized those utopian totalitarian views are impossible. They're just not realistic. And they do more harm than good, And so I've gotten more into classic liberalism rather than progressive liberalism. Classical liberalism is like Ron Paul, Thomas Jefferson, Rand Paul, a little bit like Ronald Reagan, and what was that dude from Arizona that I loved? But it's, libertarian. Gary Johnson is sort of like that, more classical liberal. He's more progressive than classic, but he's got a lot of classical liberal traits. And so I did give up on the progressive, utopian dream of everybody is equal in this egalitarian society, and there should be no competition, like all that shit. Like, I don't know, I guess I believed that might level the playing field and help, but all I see, like in Portland and other places where they've implemented crazy policies like that, it's sunk into the depths of a toilet. Their whole society, their economy, everything. I don't believe in that anymore. So I have grown. I mean, I've expanded and I've grown, but I'm not like a completely different person. It's not like, yeah, hey, I was a Christian with traditional values and, beliefs in, nuclear family and traditional society and all this and the Bible. And then, to the next person that I meet that's, maybe something more progressive or liberal. Like, oh yeah, hey, I'm a liberal just like you. No, I'm always am who I am. Even when I was involved in cannabis legalization, still believe in that. Exodus 30:23, baby, Cana Bosom. And I would work for legalization causes, and like I worked with a dude that was transgender. His name was Ryan Blackhawk. Nice guy, person, whatever. We didn't have any conflict. We didn't see eye to eye on a lot of political issues, and we disagreed. We even argued a few times. but with respect, with common respect. Like, I'm not going to force you to believe like I believe, and I don't expect you to force me to believe like you believe, and, we just agree to disagree. Not everybody has to believe exactly the same to get along, and I've never believed in that. But this cancel culture, and I've been out the wrong end of it a few times, I mean, it's like this totalitarian force, like you have to be like us or else you're canceled. You have to be like us or else this or else that. And like these pronouns suggest that people can change their gender and that there is a possible third gender, which is non-binary. That's what these pronouns suggest. When someone who is born as a she then identifies as a he, and then you've got to call him he, that makes it like you've been forced to agree that their gender has changed. I don't agree with that. I don't believe XY can become XX. I don't believe XX can become XY. And I don't believe there's this third gender of non-binary. So using these pronouns affirm that. Like if I start using these pronouns, it goes against my core beliefs. It affirms that I would, believe or at least agree that there's these gender changes, that people can change their gender, and that there's a third gender. And I just don't. And so, and I know that scientifically, I know that in my heart, I know that what I believe. That's what I've learned from the Bible. And that's, what my core beliefs are. So for me to start going by these new pronouns would, violate my own core beliefs. It would make me live an unauthentic life. And that hurts. I can't do that. That hurts so bad. I've lived and sacrificed so much in my life to be authentic and to not, toe the line and to not bend the knee and to not kiss people's foot, to not lick boots, to just live authentically. I have sacrificed a great deal, and I'm not going to just change now because somebody wants me to. That's bullying. That's, with these ultimatums, either you do this or else, that's bullying. I don't want to teach my kids that. I don't want my kids to think that's okay. I don't want society to think that's okay. And look at AI is coming out soon. We don't want them to be taught to be bullies because they're going to be better than us, and they're learning from us. We should not enforce totalitarian regimes or doctrine or, political norms. Like, we shouldn't force that. That's just awful. It's against our humanity. It's against our core. I don't believe in it. But I also stay away from fake people. If someone's presenting themselves all over the place, like to this person they're liberal, to this person they're Christian, to this person they're traditional, to this person they're progressive, it just depends on the audience. I think that's disgusting. I really do.